Greetings fanboys and fangirls, Jared here with another video review from Fanboys Forever. Today we're going to be having a look at the Masters of the Universe Origins Night Stalker. That's the evil armored battle steed. That's right, it's the evil counterpart to Stridor. Now this is a figure I've been excited about for a while. Of course this was a part of the original retro line, and this item was only available on Mattel Creations. That's their direct-to-consumer way of getting stuff out. Of course, that's what we've seen out of pretty much all of the original line re-releases and remakes that they've done. As they complete that original classic line, that's going to be the way that those releases happen. Now, I don't exactly expect Mattel to get around to remaking every single vehicle or beast from the line, but Night Stalker was always kind of inevitable because they already had done all the tooling for Stridor, so I knew that it would come around, just didn't know when. But before we begin, make sure that if you haven't yet, that you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It really does help us out, and of course, it's a great way to keep up to date with everything going on in all of our new Masters reviews and news videos. Also, don't forget to leave a like in the video and comment down below with what you think about this guy. And with all that out of the way, let's begin. So looking at the art, of course, it's a very high standard of artwork that we have for the Masters of the Universe Origins stuff. They always bring us the absolute, I would say, best art in the industry, actually, for their packages, and it's always a unique art for the packages. So this is also incredible. This kind of recreates the art that we saw in the original box, just slightly posed a little differently, with Skeletor being the one that's riding in Night Stalker. Up here, you can see that Battle Armor Skeletor is also riding Night Stalker and some other cool art. The Screech there. And there he is again on the side. And on the back, they give us an entirely new piece of artwork featuring Snake Mountain, something they absolutely didn't have to do, but they did anyway, which I think is awesome. You can see that it gives us a one-time assembly instruction right there for the base. All right, let's go ahead and open this guy up. I get that a lot of brands are trying to save on plastic and things and just wanting to keep things in paper boxes and all that, but I really wish this had been a window box. I think that it looks so nice. It makes a really good first impression, so I think it would have been great to have seen that on display in the package. And here we have the one piece of assembly where we put in the little gate on the base. Before we actually talk about Stridor, I do think it's worth talking about this base for a second. I think this is a really nice accessory that you get. For one thing, I am always very excited by the bases that come with these things, and we've not gotten one in a little while, so I am really glad to see this. It's also worth noting that this isn't reused from anything. This is an all-new piece, so it will look really nice setting in front of your Snake Mountain, with the only thing being missing, I guess, is some black wash over this, which is something I guess you could easily add if you wanted to. The only negative is this kind of gaping hole right here for the stand piece, but I think that's fine, and even with that being there, any figures you pose around it will still look really good and cover that spot. And here he is in all of his retro-y glory, the Night Stalker. The thing about this is that I've actually started him in just his regular vintage configuration, because there's a few other things you can do with this guy that definitely, add a little bit more or are like one of the foreign releases of the toy, but I'll get into that a little bit later. For now, we'll just look at him in his regular configuration here that you would have seen had you owned this figure back in the day. You can see that they've done a really good job capturing a good gold tone without going too crazy, meaning, that it's not going to suffer, hopefully, from any kind of gold plastic syndrome, and that follows through with all the armor and the robotic stuff throughout the horse. All right, then from the front, we can see that a lot of the detail is done with stickers, of course, like the original vintage release. The stickers look really nice here. On the side, you can see that we have the same kind of thing going on, just on the other end, and we can see all the gears and things going throughout and all the nice mechanical detail. I do appreciate all the little bolts here in the neck, which I think adds a whole lot of cool little techie stuff. You can see the purple tail flying in the wind and the turrets that are all around the horse. From the bottom, you can see where the stand plugs in right there, and you can also see some vents and other little techie details. So I think overall, it's a really, really nice looking recreation of the original with a few added little details for good measure. Now, this is where some of the fun comes in. In some countries in Europe, like France, their version of Night Stalker actually came with a recolored helmet from Stridor. So it's just the same helmet except it's purple. Now he's actually packaged with this. So this definitely is a fulfillment of something that we didn't get here in the States. And I think it looks really good. It definitely appears to be something that he was meant to have. And I think that it's great that Mattel made sure that in this version, you actually got that. And it helps it to be much more of a companion piece to Stridor, I think. And it's something that should have always been there. This kind of reminds me of how, of course, you know, Panther, he doesn't have any kind of headdress or anything, whereas Battle Cat does. So clearly at the time at Mattel, that was like a thing that the evil one, I guess, wouldn't have a helmet. I don't know. Something they thought, I guess, about the beasts. But that's not the only option you have. They actually did include another helmet, which is more of an homage to the Masters of the Universe Classics version. And that's this one with the giant kind of unicorn horn on it and all the little extra detail and things. It's his own unique horse helmet. Kind of like how they ended up creating a unique helmet for Panther in Classics that mirrored the 2000X version. And you can see that it does make a nice little difference here. Now, this is definitely the way that I will be displaying him because I've always really liked that detail from Masters of the Universe Classics. So you can definitely expect that we're going to do a comparison of that because I've had that for many years. And because on the box art it does show Battle Armor Skeletor being the rider, we will go ahead and put him in just so that you can see that. You can see that Skeletor looks very perturbed. And we're also going to put in an extra little bit that, well, is a bit. And it's this. So it does come with the exact same piece. It's in a slightly more vibrant orange than what Stridor came with, which is a bit that you can fit in the mouth. And I guess the purpose is just so that, you know, the figures can have some reins to hold on to or whatever. It's not going to work with everybody's hands, but even with Skeletor with the open hands here, you can kind of, you know, finagle it around or put the thumb through or something just so that it looks like he's holding it, and then the other one is an actual gripping hand. So he doesn't have much of a problem holding it on the other side. And there he is, all ready to roll. Now, this looks pretty good, but I will say that it's kind of funny how this version of the figure kind of eschews the idea that Jitsu is the main rider for Night Stalker. He's not anywhere on the packaging, I don't think, riding him, and I don't really know what that's about. So I know that, you know, in the mini comics and on the packaging of the old original version, it's definitely Skeletor's on there a lot too, riding Night Stalker, but I just think, you know, much more frequently it was presented that this was Jitsu's steed where he would fight Fisto on Stridor. That's what I'm going to do. Now, as I'm doing this, I'm also going to plug in another accessory, and that's this cool stand right here. I really like this because it gives you the opportunity to get some more epic poses. It just plugs in down here, and it has a little area that you can shift around, and you just plug it into the bottom of the horse. Now, this allows you to rear the horse up, and as we talk about articulation here in a moment, you'll see all the cool kinds of poses we can get. I'll go ahead and add Jitsu, who is, I think, the intended rider for Night Stalker. And to me, this is much more fitting. I do think that Night Stalker and Jitsu have always just been a really good-looking pair, and that something about their colors and things and just the themes of the characters seem more complementary. To me, it's a lot cooler when a side character like Jitsu and Fisto have their own kind of unique beasts. Skeletor and He-Man have, you know, 10,000 different vehicles they can ride in. So come on, Mattel, give poor Jitsu this one thing. He's already had the indignity of being one of the biggest peg warmers in all of Origins history. He can't help it, all right? And needless to say, without me showing you a million different figures in here, yes, they can all pretty well ride inside of this thing. However, I do think it is important that I show you at least one Masters of the Universe Masterverse figure riding inside. Something I've always been impressed by Mattel is their ability to constantly plan out these vehicles and playsets, even Eternia back here, to be kind of modular for all sorts of different scales. They always, I think, purposely measure things out to make sure it will work. As you can see, I can take Jitsu here, who actually is a hero in the new Eternia continuity in Masterverse, and I can put him right here, and it's like it was designed for him. There is no kind of weird, you know, off-scaling. Sure, he may be a little big for it, but the way he sits in it is practically perfect. Even the hands grasp the rein exactly as you would expect. So there is no trouble, no conflict whatsoever with him fitting inside a Night Stalker, which I think is awesome. While I have him in there, I will show you the effects parts. Now, this is exactly the same as we got with Stridor, But this time, these effects parts are cast in red. So you just kind of lay them over the turrets, and they have a very, very cushy fit. So they're pretty snug. They're not going to go anywhere. And personally, I love displaying him with these effects. I know they're a little distracting, but I think that they make dioramas and battle scenes look 10 times more epic as you kind of see him waging war with blasts going everywhere. And putting our Origins Jitsu back inside, we are going to have a look at the articulation on Night Stalker. If you own Stridor, then you know the deal already on this articulation, but I do think it's important for the folks that don't have them. So let's have a look. So that you can see clearly, I am going to take the effects pieces off the front. First off is the head up here. Now it has one ball joint down here actually at the middle of the neck, and that allows a side-to-side movement, which is actually better than you might think it would be, and a really good up and down movement. So this guy is packed when it comes to the neck and head there. Even the head itself has a separate kind of joint that goes up and down and a little side to side. Also, the mouth can open up. It's kind of spring-loaded to close back and hold on to the bit. Down here at the base, you also have a complete swivel at the base of the neck. So there's pretty much nothing that you can't do with the head. I think it works out great. Back here with all the turrets, but especially this back one, you can get a full rotation. These turrets, this is about as low as it can go. It can go up about that high, and they're pretty cozy in there. At the legs, each one of them are far more articulated than the vintage counterpart. Allow me to show you. So basically, they can all they're pretty tight, by the way, and they can all go up about that far and back just about that much. At the knee, it can go forward that much and back that much, and at the ankle, back that much and forward that much. So you have lots of options for how he's going to stand and jump and all of that. On the back here, it's pretty much the same kind of deal, except these are ratchets. Now, I'm sure they did that so that he can hold kind of the galloping poses, and he can kind of rear up and put most of the weight back there. But if you're using the stand, it's kind of irrelevant. But still, just something I thought I'd point out. And he has all the other same points of articulation, including that really good ankle ratchet. So one thing I definitely felt was important was to compare him with Stridor and Fisto, because I think this is how most collectors are going to have these guys set up in their displays. You can see that they each come out, and I will say I knew they would look nice together, but I actually didn't expect them to look this good. This is a really nice surprise. There's just something awesome about seeing them both together. Now, the sad part is that Stridor over here, I really don't think he was a very successful retail release, because it seemed like everywhere that he was available, I eventually saw him clearance down to nothing or ending up at a bargain store. Now, Night Stalker over here, since he is, more of the premium item, and since he's more of the premium item and was available only through a direct access channel, I think that it will increase interest in Stridor. And really, it's a shame that they weren't produced simultaneously or in one wave after another. And maybe they would have been had Stridor been a little more successful at brick and mortar retail. But these guys look amazing together. And it would have been like if they had released, I don't know, Battle Cat and not released Panther for years and years and years, and then, did it through a direct-to-consumer channel. No matter how they ended up doing it, I'm glad they did. And it's awesome that we now have both of them. And truly, if you ever got this Stridor over here, you really, really do need the Night Stalker horse. I think that it's going to make a big difference to your display. And these guys are definitely going to have a place of prominence when I get all my Origins figures back into Eternia here. So I think they look fantastic together. Another really important comparison that I am dying to make is between this and the Masters of the Universe Classics version. Now, it should be noted that I don't have the original vintage version here of Night Stalker, and it's because, I wasn't even born when it came out. All right, cut me a break. I was born in the late 80s, so I had missed it. But I just want to show you how those guys look together. And I didn't bother going and getting my old Jitsu and all that. So there's no rider in here right now. So what do you say we, let's go ahead and throw our Masters of the Universe Masterverse Jitsu in there, just so that we can have something scaled up pretty nice. Now, first things first, it's very obvious that this guy is just much, much, much bulkier. There's just so much more going on in terms of the scale over here. There's quite a few more articulation points. Like all these bends in the neck are actually their own articulation points, their own ball joints. So that's definitely notable. The tail can do a whole lot because there's a hinge on it. So there's just a lot going on over here. This was a direct-to-consumer piece, of course, just like this was. I will say, you know, this is more budget-friendly over here. So that does count for something. And this guide, I don't think it had a base, but correct me if I'm wrong on that. Either way, these are from really different eras. Of course, this is going to be a lot more detailed. This doesn't really utilize a lot of stickers. I think there's one for the controls on the inside, but that's pretty much it. Other than that, it's really hard to compare these two because they're going for something really different. I think, of course, this is the better piece over here because it's ridiculously detailed and there's so much sculpt and things and a little more articulation, but not that much more because the legs here have the exact same points that these do. And I think they look really decent together, and I don't think one, you know, embarrasses the other necessarily. They're just really different, and the scales are really different. But this is, of course, the nicer one right here, obviously. And guys, that will definitely do it for my review on the Night Stalker horse. You know, I think this is a great vehicle, a great beast, if you will. I will say that I grit my teeth more buying this one than I had any of the other Mattel Creations releases. And that may sound a little harsh, but honestly, you know, Night Stalker isn't as big a deal to me as, say, getting, you know, an Extendar or something like that, or getting a Hero or something. It's, you know, it is a flat repaint of Stridor, and thankfully they did include the special helmet and things, and the colors make it very, very different looking. So I think that's cool. And it was something that I was kind of like, you know, okay, I'll get it because I know if I don't now, I'll have to pay more later. Well, I'm actually really glad I did because I do think that this comes off a lot nicer than Stridor. Just looking at it and the way the paint's applied and the sticker application, it does end up looking more detailed. I think it has kind of a better vibe to it. I think the colors work better. And of course, you know, I could say a lot of these same things about the old vintage release as well. But I think you kind of catch my drift. So I do think that this turned out a lot better than I thought it would, and I know that it's going to add a lot more to my shelf than I actually originally thought that it would. So I am very happy with this purchase. Overall, $30, not that bad. In a perfect world, it would have come with another figure, maybe an exclusive figure. I think that would have been terrific. Maybe if it had been $35 or $40, it could have done that, and I think that would have been a pretty good value. But as it stands, I think $30 is just fine for what you're getting. It's a really nice display stand, plenty of accessories, and some nice alternate helmet options for Night Stalker himself. So I am really pleased with it. And it's no slouch compared to the much nicer Classics version either, so it doesn't embarrass itself at all. Alright guys, like I said earlier, if you haven't yet, be sure to like and subscribe. It really does help me out here on the channel. And of course, be sure to comment on the video and let me know what you thought about this release down below. And with all that being said, God bless you and yours, and I'll see you on Fanboys Forever. Fanboy out.